Hi, I'm astrologer Penny Dix and welcome to another ASTROBITE. And this isn't just any ASTROBITE because this is the one that all of us astrologers are talking about currently. Mars in Leo opposite Pluto in Aquarius. Well, it's actually exact on the 27th of April. I'm uploading this on the 26th to give you time to prepare. So what I want to say is, after I have given you again the brief overview of this energy, how powerful it is and how damaging it can be if not handled in the right way and used constructively, I'm also going to tell you the area of your chart, i.e. the area of your life that each zodiac sign will feel most this energy in. And then I really suggest you stick around for the phrase of the day, or the phrase of this aspect, which is the phrase power struggles, because I know some of you probably click off before when I start doing that, but the thing is, I weave the astrology into these quotes. So you will see that you will actually learn more and understand more about the transit through the quotes that I use. Okay, so that said, let me have a look at the chart of the moment, because also, of course, on the 27th, we have the new moon in Taurus. Now, Mars opposite Pluto is exact before the moon goes new. The moon will actually still be in Aries when Mars and Pluto are exactly opposite. But what can we expect with this energy? First of all, we need to think about what this energy is about. So it's intense. You know, it's the will versus the ego versus our own personal sense of self. And of course, Pluto in Aquarius is about that collective power. It's almost as if the sense of, what's coming to me is the frustration of the people in various parts of the planet, the frustration of people with their governmental administrations, those that do not like the way their particular countries are being run. This energy is potentially explosive. So this weekend, today being Saturday when this video is uploaded, and tomorrow, Sunday and Monday, we could see quite a lot of rebellious behavior out on the streets, because I think this energy will get acted out. Now, what's interesting is that this Mars-Pluto opposition is happening the same day, just after the Pope, the late Pope, has his funeral, which is actually today, the 26th. So in that sense, there is something quite transformational about his passing and the finality of the closure for his life. And we know, I think, without a doubt, that there will be some power struggles amongst the cardinals for whom is going to take over the role of the next Pope. But of course, we probably won't get to hear about that. But I just want to look at the chart of the event moment, because as I said, the moon is in Aries still. It hasn't come up to the sun in Taurus, where it will form a new moon much later on the 27th. And the North Node, Saturn and Venus are still conjunct in Pisces. So if you watched yesterday's ASTROBITE, you'll know that we still have this sense of Saturn blocking our almost like our spiritual development, the ability for us to evolve, to transform through the fires of spiritual passion, which in many ways Neptune is going to be representing over the next years as it journeys through the sign of Aries, which is very directive, and it's a cardinal sign. Neptune in Aries is initiating a real surge and movement of spiritual faith and belief. And Mars, of course, rules Aries. So, Mars in opposition to Pluto. Mars wants to go. Mars is in Leo. Mars is I am center stage. This is people wanting to stand out from a crowd. This is egos, big time, getting in the way. Will we see this with the funeral of the Pope and the gathering of various world dignitaries? Will we see them jostling for prime position or making sure the cameras get their tear rolling down their cheek to show their compassion? I don't buy into it personally, and that doesn't mean everyone. So I'm not generalizing in this, but I do think there are people that will just want to be seen. Pluto is about transformation. Now, Mars and Pluto both actually rule Scorpio. So it's quite interesting that they're in this sort of, they've joined up, they've joined forces with this transit. They're having a discussion about how to balance the energies of Mars's assertive, aggressive, action-based behavior, warlike, and Pluto's need to take things up in Aquarius to a higher vibrational level, a higher frequency of spiritual understanding, to transform the fires of Leo into the phoenix that rises from the ashes, which is very scorpionic. In the event chart, Mars is in the 6th house of service. Pluto is in the 12th house of being contained, being private, going within. So the event chart shows the potential for huge psychological development for everybody who might like to take advantage of this energy. Huge spiritual development because of the part of the chart they're in. And because the 6th house is about our daily routine. So in that sense, it's saying, make the spiritual more of your daily routine. Become aware, wake up to the fact that there is more to life than what we see, feel, hear, and touch. If you can hear paper rustling, my cat DB has a new box. I had a package arrive from Amazon yesterday. She loves this box, and I'm not allowed to take the wrapping paper inside it out. She likes to get in there and assert her Mars, that's a new one, Mars in Aries aggression, and tear the paper up in frustration. So there we go, that's what the background noises are. So back to this becoming more aware of our spiritual side, where we may have been ignoring it or not so aware of it, not so in tune with it, somehow not feeling we connect with the divine frequencies, somehow feeling literally out in the cold. And Mars in Leo in the 6th, I think, is saying sometimes we have to work at it. And the way to work at it, the way to bring in the transformational energies of Pluto is to get out of our own way. Because often we get so caught in the mind, we overthink these things terribly, and we can't connect. So, yes, we get power struggles with this energy because leaders are going to want to lead, shine, and dominate. Pluto is making that a little bit impersonal, so that I think this collection of dignitaries at the funeral of the Pope, people are not going to like. They're going to be irritated about their placement, where they're sitting, when they're allowed in and out. So we will see these ego power struggles with each other. There's also the possibility of conflict with this energy, of it actually being acted out, literally, physically, on the streets. So we may see in various parts of the world people protesting about the injustices that they feel are being done in their particular country. There's also, of course, with this energy, sexual tension. We mustn't forget that, because Mars is about sex. It rules Scorpio along with Pluto. Scorpio is our sign of sexuality. So there will be that sexual tension. Now, depending on what part of the chart it's in for you, which I'm going to tell you shortly, this could make for a nice weekend. And I think we all need a little bit of that. But there is the shadow side of this energy, which can be manipulation, jealousy, coercive control, struggling with authority figures, struggling within group dynamics, and suppressing our anger until it absolutely erupts like a volcano, and fearful that we will be seen, and I put seen in inverted commas, as if underneath there is that vulnerability caused by that Venus conjunct Saturn. And people may puff up their egos to cover their vulnerability. And there will be potentially the real need to be right. So what it encourages, anyone out there who has done cognitive behavioral therapy, I refer you to distorted thinking, because this is where we over-identify with situations, where we want to be right at any cost, even if being right somehow goes against everything we sort of really know. We just want to be right. So don't get wound up, don't rise to the bait. This is high blood pressure energy. This energy can promote heart attacks, strokes in those. Now I've got a cat crying. I think that's George. That can happen with this energy. Maybe my cats are already feeling the energy of the Mars Pluto energy. So be mindful of being manipulated or being manipulating. And in general, just try and take a deep breath and walk away from situations that wind you up. Now, this energy will be around for a while, because it's very much part of the configuration in the new moon in Taurus energy, because we have a fixed grand cross in that configuration. And I refer you to my new moon video, which is up on my channel. And on Sunday, the 27th, when we have the new moon, the astrobite I will be putting up for Sunday will have each of the 12 zodiac signs and where the new moon falls. So it shows you the sort of the area of your life that is going to be affected by this new moon. But let's have a look now at the area of your life, the part of your chart that is most going to be triggered by this Mars Pluto opposition. So let's start with Aries. Well, for you, Aries, we have to remember that Leo is your 5th house. So with Mars here, it hits your romantic, creative side of your life, your social circles. There can be power struggles with friends, with lovers. You really might feel that you're being pushed to assert your individuality. You may cut people off because of a imagined slight. But if you use this energy constructively, Aries, you can make a lot of creative breakthroughs. But you do have to face your inner truths about whether what you desire is appropriate, really blends in with the energy of Venus still in Pisces conjunct Saturn. So think clearly and carefully about the dreams you wish to manifest and use the Pluto-Mars energy to give them a kick start and transform them into reality. So let's move on to Taurus, because for you, Taurus, this is your 4th house, 10th house axis. So this is home, family, career. You might experience with this energy tension, a kind of stress between your need for personal security and the demands of your public life in the sense of your career, how people see you, how you come across in the work you do. For instance, I'm a Taurus, so this is my 4th, 10th house axis. So it may be that I find that videos I record, including this one over the next few days, have a little bit more assertive kind of direction in them. And I may be quite gung-ho about them because of that Mars-Pluto tension. So there's a sense for Taurus that you want to really shift something quite profound for it to connect better with your life going forward between your career and your home environment. Let's move on to Gemini. So for you, Gemini, this is about communication. This is about what you believe. This is your mind, your overthinking. It's your ideologies. You may have spiritual, ideological clashes with others with this energy be around. Try not to force your beliefs and opinions on others, because the transformation you seek can only come from expanding your perspective, not from overpowering others with your belief. So we all have to take a step back with this energy. For you, Cancer, it's your 2nd, 8th house axis. So this is bringing up issues around your financial security, also how you value yourself and your joint resources. This is also the 8th house, remember, is your shared resources and your sexuality and relationship. How finances can be used as very sort of sexually powerful dynamics that can create jealousy in situations where love is concerned. there may be a sense that you're being pushed to really stand your ground about what you value and to really show your ability to cope with the dependency that can come in relationships around the financial security, but also your need for some autonomy and for you to feel that you are in charge of your personal finances and security. Leo. Well, Leo, for you, this is your 1st and 7th house axis, because Mars is in your 1st house, about how you come across to the world. Pluto is in the relationship sector of your chart, saying, you know, this is bringing about change that is irrevocable, is inevitable. The changes that will come in your personal close relationships. If endings come in relationships through crosswords at this time, there'll be no going back. What's said is said, and there will be no reparation. So be very careful before you throw the baby out with the bathwater. Because what's happening here is you are being invited to transform how you show your power and how you show your vulnerability with others. Virgo. So this is your 12th, 6th house aspect. So this is about your psyche, your soul, your ability to sense the otherliness of the divine, the inner world, your inner sanctuary. It's about your routines, but it's also your subconscious fears, and it's about what control do you really have over your day-to-day routine. This aspect can show, it can bring hidden problems to light. It may be that you suffer exhaustion through this energy, through overwork, through pushing yourself too hard, and that you're being forced by the Pluto-Mars opposition to just let go of the control you have over everything. And Virgo, because you are, as I've often said, a little worry pot. Let go of your control over the way you run your daily routine, and actually take a different tack and look at how you can heal and how you can face shadow sides of yourself, and through facing up to the shadow, find the inner healing that you need. Libra. For you, Libra, this is your, it's your hopes and dreams, your goals, your passions and your social life and love affairs. But there's a clash, there's a conflict between what you would like and perhaps what others think you would like, or the agenda they set for you. You may find that your creative pursuits need to align more authentically with your future visions. For them to transform, they need to shift a bit. You need to focus that Mars energy within you, to focus your energy on the creativity that you can have to transform the whole of that social area of your life. Scorpio. So we have your two ruling planets in battle here, and it's your career and home life that are being focused on. So you might find, Scorpio, that you feel somehow caught between having to choose between personal control at home and the outer success that comes through the work you do, or the career you do, or the hobby you have, or the groups you belong to, where you have some kind of public standing. And you might find that figures in authority, people in positions of power, trigger you at the moment, that you really don't agree with what they're dictating as it feels to you. You need to find ways to channel this tension. Try and use perhaps sport or long walks to get rid of, to burn off some of your inner aggression, because I think there is going to be a build-up of rage, and it's about moving away from trying to dominate others and recognizing that you can be and show empowered leadership with others rather than dominance. Sagittarius, this focuses on your 9th, 3rd house axis, and it brings in your spiritual beliefs, travel, communication. You're being challenged to really change the view you have of the world and of your spiritual beliefs. You might find that you have very deep, intense discussions with others. You may read or watch or hear information that absolutely shakes you to the core of the beliefs that you've held and forces you to reevaluate those beliefs. And you might have to let go of beliefs in a way that feels very uncomfortable, because you recognize a truth that you hadn't seen before. And sometimes it's very hard for all of us to change a belief and recognize that we've actually got to let go of an outworn belief. But by doing so, we grow. Let's move on to Capricorn, because for you, this is about the 8th, 2nd house axis. It brings up issues again about value, money, intimacy, sexual intimacy, and control. That Mars energy is really pushing you to take very strident actions forward. And yet Pluto is counterbalancing that with demanding a much deeper transformation of how you use the power that you learnt about when Pluto went through your sign. It's reminding you, this aspect is reminding you not to cling on to old beliefs and ideas, and that it's okay to show your vulnerability, because it's through that vulnerability you can feel empowered. Now let's move on to Aquarius, because for you, Pluto, of course, is in your 1st house of transformation, of who you are, how people see you, how you express yourself to the people in the world. Mars in your 7th house of significant relationships. This is intense. This is there a blurring of boundaries with the intensity of your relationships? Are they literally being looked at and picked over with a fine-tooth comb? We can see power struggles in your close, intimate relationships here. But they will promote necessary change. And again, if you don't allow yourself to bend, find some flexibility, which is difficult for Aquarius because you're fixed. If you can't find that flexibility, then it snaps something so that You break something that doesn't need to be broken. Pluto in your sign is empowering you to go through a rebirth and to let go of egotistical ways that do not serve you anymore. So let them go and grow. And finally, we come on to Pisces, and this, of course, affects your daily life, your daily routines, your health, and that inner world, your subconscious. Pisces, I think with this Mars-Pluto opposition, you may be feeling burnout, pressure on an internal level. Dreams may be coming to you that show and reveal that which you've been avoiding. And this energy is really asking you to transform how you serve others, how you heal yourself, how you manage your energy and your inner world. Because through this opposition, deep transformation can take place for you on an inner level and set you free. Now remember, all the above, and I should have said this at the beginning, are for Sun in the star sign and rising sign in the star sign. And now, if any of you are still here, I'm just going to give you a few quotes about power struggles. And as I said, I do weave the astrology into it. So this is kind of like part 3 of today's lengthy astrobite. Frederick Douglass said, "Power concedes nothing without a demand. It never did, and it never will." So this really shows us how power is rarely given or given away. Power is taken, earned, or demanded. Edmund Burke said, "The greater the power, the more dangerous the abuse." We see this in politics. The greater the power, the more dangerous the abuse. When you give a powerful weapon to a monkey, it can kill anyone because it's out of control. So, power struggles can easily tip into something pretty bad: domination, corruption, and destruction. Abraham Lincoln said, "Nearly all men can stand adversity, but if you want to test a man's character, give him power." Now, Mars opposite Pluto is exactly that. This is the testing of our character. If we stand, or if we show a good result to the test of our character, we can stand tall in adversity. It empowers us. So we find our inner power. So Honoré de Balzac said, "Power is not revealed by striking hard or often, but by striking true." This is about precision over brute force. And it's how we manage the dynamics of power. And a good politician will navigate power in a constructive and growth-provoking way. Peter Senge said, people don't resist change, they resist being changed. And that's true, isn't it? Because, and this is what we can experience with this Mars-Pluto opposition, is urging us to change, to transform, to become stronger, to grow, to become mature. And we can't always stand up to that invitation. There's an unknown quote here, which is, in any relationship where one is doing all the giving and the other all the taking, resentment becomes the currency. And this is about the imbalances of our emotions and how erosive they can be, corrosive, subtle and deeply damaging. Eckhart Tolle said, control is never love, and love is never control. Makes me think of coercive, controlling relationships that link in with a narcissistic abuser. And the Mars-Pluto opposition is an opportunity to take your power back in a coercive, controlling situation and say, enough, I take back my power and I walk away. Because we, if we have true connection, we can't be manipulated, and it can't be manipulated. Harvey Dent, The Dark Knight, I don't know what this is about. It must be from a play or a poem. You either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. Kind of true. And haven't we seen that all through history? How the heroes end up being their own worst enemies and losing. Alice Walker said the most common way people give up their power is by thinking they don't have any. Well, that's not going to happen with this Mars-Pluto opposition. You will be aware of the power you have. Use it wisely. And finally, Aung San Suu Kyi said, it is not power that corrupts, but fear. Fear of losing power corrupts those who wield it. And that is the insecurity of being or finding oneself in a very powerful position. And this is when things can go horribly wrong. And that's what we might see acted out on the world stage with this particular Mars-Pluto opposition. We will wait and see. So, thank you for joining me for today's lengthy Astrobite. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And I really look forward to seeing you again very soon. Thank you for coming, and bye for now. Bye.